All right, hi guys. Today we're going to be beginning our review of some fraction terms and some fraction processes to get you guys prepared for chapter 2, which is working with rational numbers, which are essentially positive and negative fractions and decimals. So I have a couple terms listed here. We've got proper, improper, and mixed. So go ahead and grab your worksheet because this is going to answer question number 1 on your worksheet, which asks you guys to pick fractions that are proper, improper, and mixed. Now, if you don't get this question answered by the time this part of the video is over, then you can replay it if you need to. So a proper fraction is another way of saying a normal fraction. Things that are proper are normal. So a normal fraction is a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So on your worksheet, you would want to go through, you would want to go through and you would want to circle any fractions that have a smaller numerator than denominator. And again, the numerator is the number on top and the denominator is the number on bottom. So go ahead and circle all proper fractions. Pause me if you need to so you can circle those. I'm going to move on to improper. So if a proper fraction, the normal fraction, is where the top number, the numerator, is smaller than the denominator, then an improper fraction is where the numerator, top number, is bigger than the denominator. It is not normal. So go ahead and pause me and take a minute to put a box around your improper fractions. The next one on your list is to find mixed numbers. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Mixed means a combination of two different things. So a mixed fraction is where you have a whole number. So like if I ate 2 whole pizzas, and then you have another fraction next to it. So I ate 2.5 pizzas. So it's where you're going to have a whole number mixed with a fraction. So go ahead and pause the video and go highlight all of your mixed numbers. Underneath that, you guys are going to have to explain how you knew which ones were proper, improper, and mixed. If you're unable to do that, then go back and rewatch this video where I explain it and use my help to explain. Okay, once you're done with that, find the next section of your worksheet where it says simplify each and show all work. So simplifying fractions is where we take a fraction that has multiple common factors. So like let's do 4, 6, and we want to make it so that our numerator and our denominator have no common factors. So the hardest part about this is finding out what the common factors are. And remember, factors are things that we can divide a number by. So right now, I'm looking for a number that 4 can be divided by, but 6 can also be divided by. So when I look at this, I notice that 4 and 6 are both even, which lets me know that they can definitely be divided by 2. All even numbers can be divided by 2. So once I have divided by 2, I'm going to go ahead and do the work. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, before we can say we're done, we have to check our new numbers to see if they can be divided by anything as well. So 2, the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. I'm just going to write that down up here. Here are my factors of 2, 1 and 2, and my factors of 3 and 1 are 3. So I notice that my only common factor here is 1, which doesn't help me because if I divided 2 by 1, I'd get 2, and if I divided 3 by 1, I would get 3. So if the only common factor is 1, then that means our answer is completely simplified and we are done. This is typically a hard concept for kids, so I'm going to go ahead and do another example. Let's say we had the fraction 8/12. Now, when I look at this, I am looking for, again, a number, a factor that both of these can be divided by, so I can remove that common factor and have a simplified fraction. So what I notice, first of all, is that both numbers are even. So that tells me immediately that 8 and 12 could both be divided by 2. So I could divide both of these by 2, or I could find that 8 and 12 have a bigger common denominator of 4, and I could go ahead and divide them both by 4. But let's, for fun, just say that you didn't recognize 4 was a common factor, but you saw 2 because they're both even. So let's say we did this. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. Now, a lot of you guys are going to stop here because you divided by a common factor. But do you notice that 4 and 6 are also common, have a common denominator or common factor? Because again, they are both even. So I can divide by 2 again. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Wow, I didn't do that on purpose. Both my answers came out the same. So what some people might do, who are able to recognize that the greatest common factor is 4 right off the bat instead of 2, is they would divide by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So notice I get the same answer whether I did divided by 2 and 2, or if I divided by 4 immediately. So it's okay if you can't find the biggest number that goes in there, but you can't stop when there's still a common factor. Okay, so go ahead and pause and rewatch this video as needed to go ahead and simplify your fractions. Let's move on to the next part. Now we're going to be rewriting mixed numbers as fractions. So again, a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. And I want to rewrite this as an improper fraction, which, if you remember our definition, means our top number is going to be bigger than our denominator. So the way we do that is we make a backward C, so I'm going to make a C like this, but drawing from the bottom up. So I'm going to multiply my denominators together. So 3 times 3 would be 9, and then I add my numerator in. So this right here would equal 9, and then 9 plus 2 would give me 11, and then your denominator stays 3. Let's look at one more example. Let's say I've got 5 and 1/4. So I'm going to make my backwards C. I'm going to move in this direction. I'm going to multiply 4 times 5. That's going to give me 20. And then I have to add in 1. So I have 21 over, and then my denominator just stays the same. Notice that is an improper fraction because my numerator is bigger. Rewatch this part or pause it as you answer the questions 6 through 9 on your worksheet. And when you're ready to move on to the next section, go ahead and hit play. All right, almost last section is to write an improper fraction as a mixed number. So let's say we've got 8 thirds. The way to do this is to figure out how many times 3 would go into 8. So some of us here already know that fact. Others of us are going to have to count up by 3s off to the side. So notice I was able to do this twice before I got above 8. So that means, oops, I need to erase this. So that means that 3 can go into 8 2 whole times. But that only gave me the number of 6. I'm looking for the number 8. So that means there were 2 numbers left over, 2 thirds left over when I pulled out my 2 whole numbers. Let's look at another example. So let's say I've got 13 fourths, and I want to change this to a whole number and a fraction. So some of us know off the top of our head how many times 4 goes into 13, and others of us need to do some off to the side work. That's okay. So I'm going to say 4, 8, 12, and then 16. So 12 is how far I could get before I got above 13. So that was 1, 2, 3 4s. So my whole number is a 3, but that only got me to 12. I needed to get to 13. So that means I had 1 number left over, and my denominator stays the same. So this is how we change improper fractions to mixed numbers. Pause this video and rewatch it as necessary to complete numbers 10 through 13. All right, number 14 you guys are going to have to complete on your own, and thank you for watching.